donations do not materialize or do not materialize to a level that we can afford the new flagpole, which is estimated about $25,000, and we will submit a capital request for funding at the October town meeting. So that is the plan, and we do need to get that flagpole sooner than later. Questions?
Sure, make sure it's lighted.
Lighted fiberglass with all types of internal mechanisms.
Will they
Just-
come up and down?
Up and down.
Borrow one of the poles over at the church field? Because I think that's the kind of pole we're looking for.
Well, something prettier,
Yeah, but
a bit prettier.
That's
The
straight pine.
Secretary of State has approved the re-precincting of the town that was presented to the board. There are no actions that are necessary. As the town clerk had reported to you, the effective date would be December 31st of this year. I'd like to skip to number 6, which is a summary of the town's finances for the year ending on June 30th. I wanted to give you a little bit of a snapshot in terms of where we stand. You've got some detail included in your packet, but the major items are as follows. Tax collections overall increased from 94% to almost 98%. So the trend was positive in terms of the percentage that was collected, and also the amount committed was significantly more, and the amount that was collected was significantly more. The amount that was collected was 34.25 million. Prior year was 32.97 million. Interestingly, the end-of-year balance in uncollected real estate taxes was pretty similar compared to where we were a year ago. And I think about a month ago, the number was probably double and then some. But the amount in uncollected taxes at the end of this year was $460,327, and those amounts that are not paid are destined for tax title. So what the town will do is secure a lien, file a lien on those properties where taxes have not been paid. That is typically the process that's been conducted. Mr. Chairman, I believe you had asked a question about how much we had brought in real estate taxes from the prior year in 2011, and it was about a little bit over $200,000. So what happens is there's a lag, and of that $460,327 that showed as uncollected real estate taxes in 2011, a portion of those will be paid over the next year. However, they will not eliminate that $460,000 deficit.
Greg, I'm looking at, the detail. and
Right.
I'm still scratching my head.
It's not in the detail, Mr. Chairman. That number I just gave you is not in there.
No, I understand that. What I'm scratching my head about is, based on the revenue plan that we put together for this past fiscal year, in terms of the amount of real estate taxes, if you want to call it the commitments, which I would think that's what it would be, versus what we've collected. It appears that we have a shortage. Against that shortage, I would add the number you just gave, which still says we have a shortage, which usually has an impact on the free cash calculation.
That $460,000 will absolutely hurt us in our free cash calculation.
Okay, but the 460, we put the 200 on top of it, right? Subtract 200 from there.
No, the 200 is an amount that is totaled up within $33,511,000.
It's already in there.
That's correct. It's already in there.
So we have to have $460,000 of free cash before we can start counting free cash.
That's right. That's the reality of our economic situation.
Which is not good, but it could be a lot worse.
Right. I mean, the trend is it's not significantly worse than it was a year ago from now. And as a percentage, it's about the same. There's some good news.
And I guess we'll be transferring additional parts of this uncollected tax to tax liens, right?
Oh, sure.
That's not shown on this either at this point.
No, it hasn't been done yet. It'll be done as we go forward this summer. There's a significant amount of money that was collected in tax title. They report to the board that tax title and unanticipated tax collections, about $385,000. And that's about a $93,000 increase from a year ago. Okay, so the trend is there are properties that are in tax title, but they're being redeemed, and that's what this amount reflects, is revenues that will count toward the free cash calculation in a positive way. So that helps
kind
us.
of reduces that amount.
Yeah, it reduces the
460.
460. And then the last piece that I wanted to report on, the board asked me about the status of the payment in lieu of tax account. We're about $60,000 short on the Hillview payment in lieu of taxes. Golf revenues were down. However, the total amount collected in that payment in lieu of tax account did meet our projection. So we're about $5,000 above our projection in terms of the total account. So that's good. The good news is that doesn't affect us in a negative way at all.
Not in a negative way, but it's that little bit less of free cash you would have.
And the scary part is that that's a local receipt. And unlike uncollected real estate taxes, that does have a potential to create a revenue deficit. I hope that I'm never here when that happens, and we try real hard to have conservative revenue assumptions to avoid that. But if you were to have all of your accounts in the way that the actuals were less than what we had projected, then you end up in a situation you have a revenue deficit. And that's similar to what some of the cities have experienced, where they were overly ambitious in their revenue projections and ended up with a deficit. It's not where we want to be.
So I guess the next thing we want to take a hard look at is all the year-end numbers and take a look at how they match up against what we've used in this current year's revenue.
Yeah, there's
And whether or not there's any red flags.
two items that I'm really interested in. One is motor vehicle excise as of June 30th, and the other is permits and fees that the town charges. Those are the two major accounts. There are a lot of smaller accounts that are involved, and although they're important in terms of the overall scheme, the real light is shed on how do we do motor vehicle excise taxes. And again, we've been consistently conservative in that, and we've bucked the trend of many communities which were overly ambitious. People stopped buying new cars, and they got burned on the motor vehicle excise tax. We haven't been hurt by that. And then fee revenue, when we set our tax rate in the fall of last year, we were very conservative in terms of estimating permit and fee revenue. Matter of fact, what we did is, prior to setting the tax rate, we reduced that amount. I think my recollection was by about an additional $60,000. So those conservative revenue assumptions should hold in terms of us having a positive free cash balance. And it's what, I can't project what it is, because here we are 11 days into the new fiscal year, but those will be the two numbers that I need to get you going forward.
Are we on schedule for the pulling of the paperwork for the closing of the year?
We are trying to close the year as we speak.
So you're comfortable that
Yeah.
that will happen
Yeah.
on time, and we will have a free cash certification in time for October town meeting?
Yeah.
Very good.
That's the plan.
I just think it's important to note that the Hillview Commission did notify us, several months ago of the anticipated less payment in lieu of taxes based upon economic and weather conditions. And
I guess
The projection came
I'll
through.
go so far as to say I'm grateful that they were able to make more than 50% of the payment,
right.
Right.
given the circumstances. But it's something to be watched, and I hope the commission is paying attention to those issues.
They are paying close attention to those issues, as you're well aware.
From a town government side, the year will close. We should be okay, but I keep waiting for the economy to improve. And, you know, another year or two of this is gonna be very difficult and very challenging for us. What'll happen is all of our revenues will dry up. And, hopefully, we will avoid tapping into our reserves. Remember this, other than the capital stabilization fund, this is one of the few communities that hasn't used either free cash to balance its budget or drain down its stabilization fund. Most cities and towns have done either one or both of those things.
I would like a report at our next meeting on where we stood at the end of the year with the water deficit or surplus.
Any other questions about revenues or expenses for last fiscal year?
How did we do, just, if you have it off the top of your head, just as far as meals tax? What kind of an impact is that having in relation to what we
It was
projected?
a little over.
It was
I would
over.
think it'd be a little over, yeah.
It was over. We've used some very conservative assumptions in terms of meals taxes.
What were we talking?
About 100, 120,
120?
yeah,
It's coming in above.
above it. Above it.
Not by major amounts.
Some of the numbers that came in gave me reason to believe that they almost didn't look realistic. It could be that the fourth quarter payment revised and caught up with that. But I'm not gonna go ahead with a 1 or 2 year aberration and banking that we can increase that number. Pretty conservative, about 100, 105, 110 in terms of the total revenues for it. And I think we should stick with it. Anything else on that, or can I move on to my last item?
So, excuse me, you gonna say anything about that or not?
Didn't see it. Didn't see it. Didn't see it.
The grant from transportation grant?
Until you just showed me that document, I've never seen that.
Good, all right, good.
Sorry.
What else, Greg?
Lost my way a little bit. I'd like to
Should be
report,
Not in report?
what is
Part
that?
of
Is that what
the,
you're up to?
No,
Not
it-
into
The
your report?
adjusted,
You were gonna go to number 6, I believe, or 5.
No, 5, I'd like to go to the ICMA conference.
Okay.
It's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, September 18th to 21st. I've been here for 5 years. I've gone to a conference 4 out of the 5 years. I have to come to the board and ask for your consent to allow me the opportunity to attend. I've included an estimate. Total estimated cost is about $2,000, which includes the registration and the travel. I've also noted that there's an amount that's sufficient in my budget to cover the cost of the conference. The major tracks this year are as follows. Excellence in local government, number 1. 2, challenges for citizen engagement. 3, employee engagement in challenging demographics. 4, lessons in leadership. 5, personal issues facing local government managers. In terms of looking at these, employee engagement and changing demographics would be the area that I would be most interested in. Lessons in leadership would also be something that I would be interested in. So I'm throwing it out there in terms of whether the board has any comments, questions, whether you allow me an opportunity to attend the conference.
Greg, do you think it's, I guess you wouldn't be asking if you didn't think it was valuable for you to go, right?
That's right.
That's good enough for me.
Thank you, sir.
I concur, I have no problem.
yeah,
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you, board. Appreciate it. That concludes my report.
Sure you'll come back and give us an overview of,
Sure you come back?
Just don't drink the local water supply.
Milwaukee? Is
Thank
it at one of the universities?
No, no, it's not. No. Thank you.